A very good Saturday morning, everybody. Real Estate Radio on Bob FM once again taking place. We are sans one of our trinity of experts this morning. So let's just let the two of you guys introduce yourselves.
Well, Jamie Borden here with the Borden Real Estate Team. I've been licensed for 12 years. I'm a third-generation real estate broker, and since the age of, I would say, about 9 or 10, I've been at least doing some sort of administration with real estate. So born and raised and bred and eat and sleep and breathe real estate. So.
Oh, my.
Well, good morning. Nick Dreher with Liberty Title here again, and glad to come at you this Saturday morning, and excited for our show topic. So.
Amen. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We've entitled this "The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly."
Yes.
And Nick, I'm going to start with you because when we first started putting this program together, remember what I told you about how I feel about guys involved in closings?
You did.
Yeah.
You did. We were the secret guys behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's all about Illuminati.
Yeah,
it's all about take over the world. It's all about all that kind of stuff. I don't think up to that point I'd had what I would call a reasonable, decent, non-stressed, a lot of tears experience with closing. And then I did.
Well, and I think that what happens that is the hardest part about that is the transparency in a lot of the other parts of our industry have come through the internet. You can look for houses and you can look for financing and you can determine, what to avoid or hopefully what to look for. But with closing and title insurance, it's still kind of an uncertainty because we haven't created a transparency piece yet that lets people know. So a lot of times you're getting a call from somebody like Jamie that we are, asking for last second information, and it's not necessarily because there is the Illuminati. It's more because I think we just haven't created the transparency that gives you the idea that here's what's happening today. This is exactly how we got here, and this is what you're going to be doing while you're here. Yeah. Every other aspect of our industry that the real estate agent does, you're getting you're getting copies of what you've signed. You're ahead of time knowing where you're going. You've had an inspection. You've had a home warranty potentially put in place. Mm-hmm. You have all these things that are there, but the closing process still, number one, it seems very clinical. You walk in and you've got this kind of, very clean room, and everybody's just kind of faking a smile at first, and
they're all nervous. Hey, is this actually going to happen today or what?
See, that was always my concern. What is going to go sideways? I bought that tube of toothpaste, and it's going to change my credit rating.
That's right. Yes.
Oh, speaking of tube of toothpaste, it wasn't to that degree, but we're one of the ugly part of the program is an experience that we had on a short sale, and kind of getting away from the title side again. This specific client had been looking for a house for about a month. We located this property. It was a fantastic house. It was, for the most part, in great condition, and just needed some carpet and some paint and something that those guys are willing to do. Mm-hmm. It took them a week to find it. We ended up getting it approved by the bank after about 4 months. So this is my buyer, and it's a different seller, and it took them 4 months to get the short sale approval. And so they've got about 5 or 6 months invested into this thing right now. Yeah. And all of a sudden, we find out there's a title issue. The owners had, when they had purchased it, they transferred it over into like an LLC for whatever reason, for their own protection purposes. Sure. And they were told in the process that it needs to be in their name for the lender to approve the transaction of the short sale. So they transferred title from their LLC, which they owned, they were both owners of, into their own personal names so that it would match the loan documents. Well, by the time all that had transpired, the lender approved it. The seller's lender approved the short sale. Okay. And we get this magnificent phone call. Hey, we're approved. We're heading to closing. Get your financing order. Let's get this thing done. Our lender, because of anti-flipping regulations, it cannot be transferred more than twice within a 6-month period, I think is the rule. And so the lender said, we can't do anything. We cannot get this thing done. And so me in a mad dash trying to find another lender that either can get them approved via conventionally or get them approved and bypass these regulations.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we were able to find a lender that was able to get this thing done. But man, there was a lot of hoops to jump through to get this thing.
Well, and that's the domino effect that I think that we face a lot of times in our business is one thing affects the other, and something that you did that was going to have one outcome. It had that outcome, but then you had 120 days that you were going to be made to wait
Right.
because of a regulation on anti-flipping, or which I still don't entirely understand how 4 months is. It just makes everything really difficult, and so it's things like that I think. This is why this show is probably so interesting today. We're hoping it's so interesting to the listeners because it's the behind the scene things that they don't always see. It's the juggling of the craziness of little specific regulations or, colossal mess ups that gets you into this really kind of this limbo. I'm going to walk this line of trying to get it done.
It's the nightmare that we all fear.
Right.
And in the few times that I've had to, get into new homes and sell other ones, I mean, I had a situation back in the 90s where I did one of those stain and paint your way in things.
Yes.
And we did that. The cabinets are all hanging out there. We're all ready to go. Costs are down. Everything we had stained was stolen.
Oh, no.
All the cabinets, all
no.
the baseboards, all the railings, everything was stolen. And so we went back around. I mean, it was nightmarish again because that changed a lot of the equation of the house.
Yeah.
I found out later it was stolen by the construction company. It was I had signed
my
everything
goodness.
on the bottom, and I had dated it when we had done it because I'm just me.
Yeah.
I'm my father's son,
Yeah.
and I do stuff like that. And so I'd say JPE, blah, 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 put the date on it. And one day I'm 3 houses down the street. My daughter was babysitting. And I said, man, those cabinets look just like the ones that got stolen. Looked under the lip, my signature. They were stolen by the construction company.
Kidding me?
No. And so, I mean, those are the nightmares we all how do you survive stuff like that? Now, Nick, you had another story about when it comes to closing. You were telling me this before we started the program.
Well, I think that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And so you get into certain things, and in this particular instance, a few years ago, we had a closing that was taking place. In the closing, you had a buyer, a seller, a buyer's agent, a seller's agent, a loan officer, and a closer for both sides. So it was a busy room, and the husband had showed up a little bit late. And what he had done as a surprise to his wife was
Which is a wonderful thing.
Yes, like, hey, here you go.
Speaking the love language, right?
Yeah,
Giving gifts.
They had been saving. They had done really well. He went out and bought a truck. He bought a Dodge Ram extended quad cab pickup truck.
He bought a
Gorgeous
yacht.
truck. Yeah, right. I mean, yeah. He went out and he bought. And he mentions this in there, and he goes, honey, go look outside, and they've got this beautiful maroon truck, and everybody's kind of sitting there, and everybody's kind of happy, and they go back to working, and the loan officer stops, and he says, guys, I have really bad news, and I don't want to do this, but it's bothering me. You're going to have to go back through underwriting with this new purchase, because you are signing after the time that you've purchased this truck. Now, if I didn't know about it, meaning the loan officer and the closer, if they didn't know about it, well, it wouldn't mean anything. Yeah. People would have went on. But because he had made a thing about it and he was trying to be sweet,
right,
he now was unable to close that day because he would have to go back through underwriting to make sure that with his mortgage payment, his other credit requirements, his other credit expenditures every single month, and now this truck, they had to make sure that the payment worked. And that's what happened. So the rigmarole, and the long story short is he had to end up taking the truck back, get a bill of sale from them, show that that it wasn't going to show up on his credit, and that he could then go close the following morning, pay a re-underwriting fee or a redoc fee, use the LOI for the letter of the LOX, the letter of explanation, saying that he did then get paid back for the truck and that there was no outstanding balance, and then go back the next day and buy the truck.
Buy the truck.
But the look on everybody's face in that moment was pure horror because it was absolutely the truth.
Yeah.
It changed his ability to afford the house.
Well, just 1 second, Jay, because we got to take a quick break. This is the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we started with the bad and the ugly. We will get to good. We promise you. Hang on. There's more to come on Real Estate Radio and Bob FM.
The Borden Real Estate team with TCI Realty of Minnesota is here to help you make the right decisions when buying or selling a home. With over 25 years of combined real estate experience, they have the expertise and knowledge to help you achieve success through your real estate journey. Jamie and Cassie believe strongly in making a difference through educating and giving back to their community. For a professional evaluation of your situation, contact them today at www.teamborden.com. That's www.teamborden.com.
Liberty Title has over 40 years' experience in real estate law and has quickly become a leader in the title community, providing excellent title service to Minnesota real estate agents, lenders, attorneys, corporations, and homeowners. Their knowledgeable staff of dedicated professionals coordinate residential and commercial real estate transactions with the highest degree of efficiency and customer service. When it comes to title work, there's only one place to turn: Liberty Title. Find us on the web at libertytitleinc.us.
It's the good, it's the bad, it's the ugly. We've done some good. We're going to get to good. We're going to get to good. But and let me kind of tell you, folks, why we're doing this. Because there's a lot of stuff that can change the outcome. A lot of little integral things. And we're kind of laying it out so you go, okay, I'm going to make a note. I'm not going to be buying myself a Ram Dodge before this thing all happens. And just kind of explaining what the stories are and some of the things you can avoid ultimately.
Well, hey, it's okay. Here it is. I mean, the bad and the ugly are when I was a kid, we had moved into a house, or we were building a house, excuse me, and we were right close to closing, and the house burned down. It got struck by lightning.
What?
We were 2 weeks out from closing, brand new house. It got struck by lightning, burned to the ground.
And that's tough. Hopefully, the insurance.
Yeah, everything. The insurance company, the new construction company, their insurance company came in. We ended up having to wait an additional 4 months,
right?
Because they could go right. They went all the way, because what had happened was they went all the way back down to the brick, and the blocks, and that was fine. But yeah, it was. I mean,
But it's their property.
Yes.
And so it was the duty, the application was not in your hands at all.
At that point, no, it was not.
Back to the story I was telling you about. The builder who stole my stuff, he was trying to make it my stuff. And I finally said, we haven't closed on this house.
No.
We've put some equity into it, but it's been work equity.
Yeah.
We've put but it's your stuff that got stolen. You have to deal with it, and you have to provide me with new stuff.
When it's on your site, your build site. Yeah. Until we close, it's on your build site.
And so he wanted to add the cost to the new cupboards.
Oh, of course. Why wouldn't he?
Yeah. And then he said,
right?
but he said, I'll certainly discount the effort you put into stain those.
Oh, boy.
Listen, I think we've got the wrong idea here.
Yeah.
Those are gone. Those cupboards are gone. It's as though they never existed then.
That makes you question, professional integrity. Integrity in general. It's something that's so lacking in our industry. I just had a conversation with somebody actually this morning on one of the deals that we did. It's a lender that I've not worked with, and I'm not going to name names, but he proceeded to throw our title company under the bus.
No.
Because their systems were down or they weren't communicating properly. And the fact of the matter is, I called him to remind him to make sure that he sent over this closing disclosure for TRID.
Okay.
Hey, make sure everything got signed off last night to see if we're still closing coming up here in 3 days. And he's like, oh yeah, there was an issue with title. Well, I ended up calling the title company to get verification because I know that Liberty does not mess up when it comes to these type of things. With every transaction that we've had very, very good success. And so I spoke with our closer, and she's like, you know what? No, here's the email that he sent this morning. It wasn't last night. It was this morning at 9:32.
Okay.
And he proceeded to blame the title company for something that they didn't do. And so the professional integrity would say, hey, you know what? I messed up. My people messed up.
Yeah. We
are extremely apologetic. We're extremely sorry. I don't know what we can do to make it up to the buyer, to the seller, because now if fortunately the seller's moving into a rental and there isn't another closing pending that he's moving into. So it's an ideal situation to extend the closing out of 1 day. But the thing is, let's have some professional courtesy.
Yeah. Isn't
some
that, though,
integrity.
the number one worry, though, that people go into? Or is it, at least it's in the top 5?
Well, I think people get. I think industry professionals get confused sometimes about professional responsibility or integrity, and the thing is that any time that you point a finger in our business, if you're a good professional, you're going to follow that finger, and I'm going to go, okay, you pointed here. Why did you point here? And the thing that I always find interesting, and the buck stops with the title company, because that's where we're closing.
Right.
And I often find it interesting that when something goes wrong, it's exactly what you said, Jamie, and that's what people are drawn to. John, if you were closing with us and something went wrong, I would call you up and I would say, John, this was our fault. John, I'm sorry. This should have been considered beforehand. And I want to make sure it doesn't happen again. I want to do whatever I can to solve the problem as it is and get this thing closed.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people believe that if they say this was somebody else's fault, that somehow alleviates their need to accept responsibility.
Right.
And that's okay to some degree, as long as you're not getting caught, right? You're like, oh, I can. But the problem is that any time that I've been able to say I'm sorry and fix it, I've built a relationship with those people. It's the people that say, well, it was this person's problem, or because that's not what anybody wants to hear. I don't want to hear from the guy at McDonald's that the guy in the back that makes the thing that he's just an idiot and can't read or whatever. I want him to say, this shouldn't happen here.
Right.
And I'm sorry. And then you know what I say? No big deal. That's fine. I just wanted onions on my burger. Same thing with this. Something's going to go wrong. Inevitably, something always happens. Fixing it is what everybody wants. That's why they hire a professional. That's why we're telling you every week on this show, be very careful who you choose to work with. Vet them out. Make sure that they're the right person. And if you have a bad feeling, call Jamie. No, maybe Jamie can't say that. But that's the reality. Is if you know who you're working with and you feel good about it, they're going to protect you and they're going to constantly go to bat for you.
Your line of follow the finger. If somebody points the finger, follow the finger.
Yeah.
Why are they pointing that way?
Yeah.
That's classic.
Yeah,
Did you just
look
make
at
that
kids.
up?
Yeah, I did.
You know, they treat it like they're children.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh my gosh, little Jimmy did it.
Yeah.
No, well, no, he did this.
Yeah.
No, he did that.
Yeah.
It's
But it's like you guys say, integrity. Because if you said to the person who's closing, say, listen, we messed up here.
Yeah.
You've just brought another 20% to your integrity as a company.
Absolutely.
Which means that when they're suggesting somebody, because you can choose your title company, can't you?
You can, absolutely.
And so as a person who's had a great experience, it's more likely that I would say to my son, my kids, who's a friend, hey, they're going to do it for you.
Yes.
They're going to take care of you.
They're going to take, and that's what I think people miss. The opportunity to fix a mistake is an opportunity to gain a client for forever, for a lifetime.
Right.
It's because it's when somebody wants to make up, oh, well, this didn't happen and this should. No, that's not what happened. That's not the case. I always start with, I'm sorry that this happened. I will do whatever I can to fix it. Because ultimately, it might not have been my responsibility. But if I said it was your fault, then they're going to come to John and they're going to say, well, John, what happened here? And you're going to say, exactly what happened to you. Well, no, this happened. And then you'll never trust that person again.
Exactly.
If you had recorded something, we did the radio show and something had gotten screwed up, and I came back to you and said, well, we replayed one of our old shows. And you said, well, I don't know, that was somebody's fault. I'm going to go to that person and say, hey, this happened. Then they're going to say, well, John didn't get this to us in time.
Right.
Where if you had said, guys, I'm really sorry. Something came up. I was completely distracted. I didn't get it on the radio. It's absolutely my fault. I'd go, that happens. Let's move on.
Yeah.
But if you lied to me, then I can never really trust you again.
It's a stumbling block. Jamie, you've got to see this all the time on your side of this equation.
It's actually, like I said, we just seen it just now in the same company, different loan officer. This happens 3-4 years ago, and I vowed that I would never use this company ever again.
Right.
Well, I ended up running into somebody within that same company who was just dynamite. It's just an amazing contact, kept everybody accountable, and I started to regain some trust and some faith. And so every time that somebody is using this particular company, because I've had the good, the bad, and the ugly experiences
All
with
together.
that company, I say, hey, if you want to use this specific company, you got to call this person, because they're going to make sure that they hold everybody else accountable, because there's a lot of moving parts. Yeah. With the loan officer to the processors to the underwriters to the closers, there's a lot of communication going back and forth. And if your loan officer, your point of contact, who's speaking with us, who's speaking with the client, isn't on the ball,
Right.
they're going to drop the ball. And that's why you have delayed closings.
What a great conversation this is now. We've talked good. No, we haven't. We've talked.
We'll get there.
We've talked bad and ugly. and again, it's really more of an educational thing. The whole program smacks of education to start with. But this really gives you an idea of what you can avoid. And it underlines, just like you said, Nick, get the right people the first time. Truly vet the people, talk to them, make sure you get some credentials and things like that, because it's going to smooth out this process in ways you probably could never know.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to take a break. We got to come back. Some good on the way. I'm thrilled.
It's coming.
And you're listening to the Real Estate Program on Bob FM.
When it comes to home mortgages, you have a lot of choices. Make the right choice and contact Steve Rice at Marketplace Home Mortgage. Steve has over 25 years experience in the lending industry and provides his clients with all types of loan options to give them the best value every time. Marketplace Home Mortgage is the actual lender, and they are local, so they'll originate, underwrite, and close your loan in-house. No hassling around with out-of-state lenders. Find Steve online at www.steverice.net. That's steverice.net.
The Borden Real Estate Team with TCI Realty of Minnesota believes strongly in supporting and honoring those who have chosen to serve their country and community. It is with utmost gratitude that they started MPFHeroes.com, where they give back 25% of their commission to all active or retired military, police, and fire rescue heroes in uniform. For more information about this program, visit www.mpfheroes.com. That's www.mpfheroes.com.
Gentlemen, it is time to do some good. Put your superhero capes on and let's make something great happen, because there is good in all this.
You know, the important thing to think about here is you hardly ever hear about the good. You hardly ever hear about it. You always hear about the ugly.
Yes.
And so, although what we're talking about, maybe 1 or 2% of the
Right.
transactions that happen, there's 98% of them that go very, very, very
Very well,
smoothly,
yeah.
and are very pleasant. And so, a couple of things that really stand out to me since I've been a professional and helping people buy and sell. There's a couple of scenarios that pop up to me as being kind of a very proud, I was able to be this person that got them this deal.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one piece of land in particular that my client had popped up on the search portal, and they said, "Hey, I think this is a good chunk of land for us to build a house on." And they were shopping new construction, and then they're also shopping the existing market. And so we had an approved showing for an existing house, and they're like, we've only got time to see one of them, so let's see the land instead and cancel this other showing. So we canceled this existing showing. We went to go take a look at this chunk of land, and it was everything that they wanted. Multiple acres. They wanted privacy, wooded, in a specific price point. And I called the agent and I said, "Hey, what's the status on this? Are there any offers currently on the property?" And they said, "Yep, we have a verbal acceptance on this house, so it's sold." And I said, "Wait." I said, "Hold on. You don't realize what we have on the table here." I said, "Give us a chance." And I pleaded. I said, "Give us a chance, because we're going to make it worth your seller's while." And I gave her a verbal offer over the phone. I said, "I'm writing it on the hood of my truck right now." I was literally writing the contract on the hood of my truck, had them sign off on it, and I was heading back to the office to ship it off to make it formal and legitimate. And they came back and they said the sellers had decided to go with your offer. And so we were able to lock up that lot for them, got them to had the ability to build them a house then, and they were just ecstatic and happy about that situation.
That's a really great story, Jamie, and I think what it illustrates, probably more than anything that maybe you didn't intend it to illustrate, but is the passion that you hold for the people that you're working with.
I was going to say that. I was going to say, you were Superman.
Yeah.
You're Batman. Because you did step in with knowing who to talk to, where to talk to. Nick, you pointed out exactly what was crossing my mind.
Yeah, that's the thing. We work with a lot of people in our business. The transaction, I had seen a statistic not long ago that said the average single transaction has 26 hands in it. 26 hands in it, directly that had touching it at some point. And that makes sense if you think of all the people that touch it, from the people at the brokerage, the behind-the-scenes people, the people that handle the showings, the people that handle the underwriting, the closing, the documents themselves, running the documents. There are 26 hands in a transaction. And most of those people have the same desire. I once heard Steve Brown, the former National Association Realtors president, said this, and it was the one thing that has stuck with me. You don't dream of renting. The American dream was never meant for the idea of renting forever.
Right.
So buying a home and selling it, in this case, buying a home is a dream come true.
Yeah.
And it's what we all wanted to go for. And so that's something to remember. And I think, Jamie, I think that you really illustrate that point with the passion of making sure that the people that work with you do it.
Well, and for us, it's truly about the relationship. It's not about the transaction. And I think that getting into the day-to-day grind, a lot of realtors may forget about that. And there's actually a person behind this transaction,
right.
And there's a relationship that could be formed there if you treat them correctly and treat them as if they were your own. Mm-hmm. And so I guess I wasn't trying to illustrate that point, but that's just me. Another really kind of proud moment that I had is one of the Facebook groups that my wife is a part of, somebody had pleaded for help. And they said, hey, we're getting evicted out of our house. And we've got no place to live. We've tried to talk to a lender. We tried to get approved. We could not get approved. We've got 2 months, and then we're homeless. What broke my heart was these guys, the dad was a firefighter. Mm-hmm. And it's something that we have a strong passion for with mpfheroes.com. And we were able to send them to one of our lenders, and we got them approved. Within about a month it took to clean up some stuff and get them approved. And then we were able to find them a house. Mm. And we were able to close on that house before they were homeless. Wow. And it was such a moving experience for me personally. I'm actually getting tears right now on the air talking about it. But it was an amazing thing that we were able to do to help them out and to get them out of that bad situation and to find them a home that they can call their own. Yeah. And it was such a revitalizing experience.
Well, gentlemen, let's make some contact information, because we've heard the good, we've heard bad and ugly, we've heard it all, and everybody knows that it's out there.
Yes, yeah.
And so how do we touch base with you guys again, just to say, I want more good. I want to see if we can make good happen. What's the contact point?
Yes, they can contact us in 2 different places. We have mybobcountry.com. They can click on the Weekends tab and then click on Real Estate Radio. Myself, Nick, and Steve information will be on there. Also, they can check out our Facebook page, which is Real Estate Radio MN. So it'll be facebook.com/Real Estate Radio MN.
All right, folks, get some good in your life. These guys can help you. And
have a great Saturday.
Have a great Saturday. God bless you guys.
See you next week.